Today, we are reviewing Mike Tannenbaum's brand new 2025 NFL mock draft. Let's get right into this, starting out with that number 1 overall pick. If you guys are new, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I do draft content like this nearly every single day, but Cam Ward goes at number 1. It feels like the locked pick at this point. Money speaks a lot louder than words do or mouths do. And, that 1-year contract to Zeitler really felt like they were just shearing up the offensive line for 1 year. And I don't think Zeitler would want to go to a team that was trying to go and see if Will Levis could make it work. It looked like he was trying to go to somewhere where he could end up being part of a reclamation project and being part of somebody who's like going from like worst to first type of territory. So the Titans are in a division where that is relatively possible. And so it's absolutely on the board for them to go Cam Ward, and I think that is the probable solution. At number 2, the Browns go Travis Hunter. Travis, I think, would be off the bat wide receiver and then end up transitioning to a cornerback. I mean, it could end up just being a wide receiver for him, but, it would be smart because Travis Hunter he's instant impact at both positions, but you don't need him to be an instant impact just yet at corner. A lot of these teams where you're trying to play him at both could get a little bit wonky for sure. I think Travis Hunter would end up being a very solid selection for the Browns. I'd prefer Abdul Carter solely because you look at that defensive front, Abdul, you look at McGuire, and then of course Myles Garrett. You don't really need to have that secondary be as strong if you end up having a pass rush that's just that hard to play against. But regardless, Travis Hunter, amazing player. He is now up to, and if you look at the healthy players on my board, he is my number 2 player. So, it's interesting. The guys with a plus are pre-injury grades. At number 3, the Giants do go Shedeur Sanders here. Shedeur Sanders, I think that there's a chance if he doesn't go to New York, he ends up falling to the late first, which personally, I do think that, if I'm going to predict what happens, I think that we're overvaluing the quarterback position. And I think the Giants are looking to trade up for Shedeur Sanders at the end of 1 and then try to hopefully get Travis Hunter here at number 3. I think that would be the best case scenario. But, if they have to go after QB, they have to go after QB. Jameis Winston's 2-year signing to me doesn't really feel like a vote of confidence for them going Shedeur Sanders at number 3 specifically. I feel like that's a mitigation move to where if they don't see him slide far enough, then they still have a short-term option. At number 4, the Patriots pass on Abdul Carter and go Armand Membu. Membu's a stud, but Membu is not. I feel like he doesn't get enough criticism. He's a great player with great athleticism. He was a top 40 guy for me coming into the year. But there's still a lot of work that needs to be done with Membu. He's also a right tackle, and you need to legitimately solve left tackle. There's also a lot of really good left tackle possible prospects there for the beginning of the second round. I don't think this is the right move. So continuing on, we got the Jaguars, Abdul Carter. If he's there, you have to take him, and then you end up trading Travon Walker away, whether that would get you a first, a second, or a third. Feel free to argue about that. I think it would right now garner a second-round pick, if not maybe like a second and a third. I don't know if anybody's going to send a true one for it, unless it's like the Eagles with a late one, but even the Eagles have kind of shored up that position with their free agency move, so I don't think that's a desperation move. But regardless, you're looking at probably trying to trade him for that second to late first value and, to upgrade and save about $20 million a year. Not necessarily the worst thing on planet Earth. At number 6, we got the Raiders going Ashton Jeanty. Feels like the surefire pick at the moment. Rock solid back who just ends up being that dude who's a true bell cow. I love him a lot. And I think that the Raiders would be very smart to bring in Jeanty. At number 7, we have the Jets going Will Campbell. And Will Campbell, I do have some concerns with him. Mobility is not one of them. I think he'd fit very well on this offensive line next to Olu Fashanu or across from him at the right tackle spot if you have to. But I do worry that the spatial awareness, especially with seeing him consistently get beaten with inside counters, I'd prefer for you to get bent around the edge because I know that Will Campbell has the athleticism to learn from that. Getting beat on the inside is more of a mental thing rather than a physical, which I guess you could say the same about getting bent around the back, around the outside, around the hump, as they call it. But with Will Campbell, I just have my concerns. It really is that spatial awareness. Like the dude lets up some very, very unique and easy angles to the quarterback at times that I just don't think he should. He has some incredible reps. I do see him being a success, but I see him being a far higher risk than what people think. And I mean, if you keep Olufoshun at right tackle, I think that's what he's saying. He's saying that Campbell can slide in at right tackle. You're just you're pushing it. You're pushing it. I don't think this would be the right move for the Jets. Carolina Panthers go Jalen Walker. I think that's the move that I normally go with, so I'm going to agree with it. Panthers have always been a team that has had legitimate, consistent, high-level linebacker play, going back to Luke Kuechly, so I could totally see this being the move that they go after, and with Shaq Thompson being on the way out, makes a lot of sense. At number 9, you got the Saints going Michael Williams. Michael Williams could make some sense here. I would say that he has the physical upside to be something truly special. And I think that showing how he got better and better as his health improved this year made me very confident in him projecting to the NFL, where I wasn't so much at the start of the year. I don't know why he came out. I think he should have returned to school one more year and ended up coming out as a senior and then ended up being like a legit lock top 5. But, teams are going to be able to buy cheap for Michael Williams, even though this doesn't seem very cheap. He is built to be a number 1 overall player. And if the Saints do this, I'm not going to lose my marbles over it. You're overpaying for Chase Young. So I would say that Michael Williams, you kind of do need to have that future in place. And you're kind of betting on the future of, why do I keep forgetting? It's been a long day if you can't tell. But yeah, I mean, Cam Jordan, he's coming up on his tenure, and Young, Chase Young, that's the name I keep forgetting out of the blue. You're betting on him having a better success in the future rather than what he has been in the present. Not necessarily the best move always, but something that you could end up being net positive. Bears end up sniping Mason Graham at pick 10. If that's what happens, that's what happens. It's a great addition here. I don't know why the next choice to be mentioned is Tyler Warren, but Grady Jarrett, he is kind of a shell of himself. I could see Mason Graham being a far better option. If you get him at 10, I mean, that's really good value. I might have Mason Graham at 18 on my board, but there's just some players that I absolutely love. My board is not predictive in any way, shape, or form. These are the players that I love in the order that I love them. But, I do think that out of the first round guys, he is well worth this number 10 selection. At number 11, we got the Niners going Will Johnson. Will Johnson would be an amazing boundary corner for him. I don't think the Niners have addressed their boundary cornerback position well enough. And so this might be the move that they're trying to aim for. So I think this would be an incredible move. It would scare the shit out of me to see Will Johnson on the Niners. I would also say Jahad Campbell could be in that mix. Number 12, we have the Dallas Cowboys going Tetairoa McMillan. He'd be a very reliable boundary wide receiver. People said it was like 4.48 at the pro day. Ended up being out much closer to 4.55 per. If you ever want to know pro day statistics, just wait for Dane Brugler to talk about it. I feel like he's been by far the most reliable. So don't take it off the gut reaction or the Dov Klemens and stuff that just end up spewing out a bunch of stuff. I would end up waiting for Dane Brugler above all else. And so that's still relatively acceptable. Anything below 4.6 would have been good for me. Of course, you don't get to see the 10-yard split and such because you're not seeing laser timing and stuff. But regardless, Tetairoa McMillan for the Cowboys would be really nice. I'd love to see him on the boundary and, paired up with CeeDee Lamb. I think that would be a very good get. At number 13, you got the Dolphins going Josh Simmons. I could definitely see this being a possible move because Josh Simmons has right tackle experience as of 2022. And it wasn't a great year for him, but I still think that he has it in the tank. Ended up working a lot on his form. People are talking about the patellar tear being something that, is worse than an ACL. Technically speaking, on apples to apples, it's not, but the ACL has become so popular that it's a lot more projectable and much easier and much more routine. Just got to put that out there. Both of them have a minimum 6-month recovery time. And, for ACL, I think it's up to 12. And for patellar, it's, I believe, up to 9. I might have switched those around. But Josh Simmons, if I'm not mistaken, was potentially cleared for his rookie season. I don't even know. He might have been even cleared for camp. I'm trying to remember if that's correct or not. But Josh Simmons is an absolutely incredible talent. When healthy, he was worth a number 1 pick, in my opinion. This dude's an absolute savage. And he finally put it all together this year. At the start of the year, he was somebody who looked good but didn't end up like really like putting toe to turf, and then he finally ended up like clicking. And I think that being able to see that progression with him makes me very confident in this case with him potentially being the right tackle of the future there. You know, you got Patrick Paul, but I mean, Josh Simmons could still end up being that left tackle, and then you could end up seeing Patrick Paul being used in a different realm. But, you know, Josh Simmons, incredible talent. I don't think that this ends up being the pick, but if it ends up being the pick, I'd be pretty damn happy. You got the Colts then going Tyler Warren at 14. This is the dream. I mean, this is the top end tight end range as well. We pushed it up as much as high as 5. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's possible, but man, I mean, Tyler Warren, as good as he is, you look at the value of tight ends and just, I don't know if teams are going to correct themselves for how stupid they were with Brock Bowers. Like, Brock was my number 2 player on my board. So Tyler Warren, I mean, I don't think he's anywhere close to Brock, but I do think that, you know, stylistically, you can use him like a Gronk, and it can end up being a massive help for Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, who gives a shit. But and Tyler Warren's the dream pick for the Colts. We'll see if the NFL learns from their mistakes and realizes that getting a top 5 to 10 tight end is not something you can just do in free agency. It's something that you need to do through the draft. So who cares about the money you save when you get the access? At number 15, the Falcons go Kenneth Grant. Their nose tackle spot is pretty damn bad. I could totally see this being the case. He's a high ceiling kid with a very good motor. I mean, his most memorable rep to me is him chasing down Fat Man Katron Allen from behind. And that's insane for a D tackle of his size to be the one to track down a running back from behind. But he did. And so, like, I've just loved it ever since. He looks like he gets pissed off all the time. And, you know, he looks like someone who brings the energy on the field. And that's something that I absolutely love. I think the Falcons should go after him. Even if I'm not a huge fan of his talent right now, I see him continuing to grow, continue to develop, and becoming a superstar in the right system. Cardinals go Matt Golden at 16. I mean, I'm not going to say that wide receiver would be remotely one of the first positions I go after for the Cardinals, but speed has kind of been a Cardinals thing. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. there. You got Trey McBride. You also have, why am I forgetting the kid from Stanford, Michael Wilson, and then Matt Golden. That'd be among the best receiving corps in the NFL, especially because, I mean, people are buying low on Marvin Harrison right now. It's okay. But, I mean, that's going to be probably one of the best receiving corps in the NFL. If you can end up hitting the other picks right, it could end up looking like a genius move. But I also think that there are so many receivers, if you do want someone like Matt Golden, you can wait till like the 4th or 5th round and end up adding some. I mean, they're not going to run 4.29, but you look at LaJohntay Wester, Jimmy Horn Jr., and those guys for the value would be incredible fill-ins for where Matt Golden is right now. But I digress. I mean, I still think that if you end up hitting the other pain points with really good value down the board, it could end up becoming a very solid pick. We don't have any proof of that in this. So it would be like, if that happens on draft night, I'm going to sit there and be like, ooh, like, let's wait to be like really definitive on our grade until like day 3 hits. Because, I mean, technically it's true of all picks, but for that one, like, great player, I could see the vision, but I also don't think that there's that's the best path for success. Bengals go James Pierce Jr. at 17. Honestly, James Pierce Jr. is a really damn good talent. Even with his personality concerns, he's 14th on my board. It's a big mental red flag. I mean, coaches are literally getting excited for this guy not to be there. His talent level is the best edge in the class. I will say that. He's better than Abdul Carter. But, I mean, if you are pissing off your coaches as a talent as good as Abdul Carter, and they're literally cutting your reps, look at the Florida game. They ended up like putting him on a snap count because there was some stuff that was happening off the field. Gotta admit. And then also, he doesn't seem like he's doing great in interviews. Not saying that should drop a player that much, but if you're sitting there in a multi-billion-dollar organization, or, I mean, hell, if you're applying for a job and then you whiff on an interview, I will say talent should speak above the interview, but the interview matters. And James Pierce so far hasn't looked very good in those interviews. I could easily see him falling out of the first round. And yes, I did just say he's a better talent than Abdul Carter. But when you see players labeled as like coaching concerns, they fall out of the first. Jerzon Newton, Christian Barmore, Tevin Jenkins, like constantly dudes who are labeled as coaching concerns Do not go in the first. So I highly doubt that he does. But we'll see what happens. I do think the Bengals need to address that edge 2 spot with a rookie because they're not doing the best fiscally overall. Seahawks then go Tyler Booker at 18th overall. Tyler Booker's just not mobile enough, in my opinion, for their system, but I do think he is one of the highest floor individuals in the class. I mean, he's the definition of solid. You don't need to keep him on the move. Do not put him on the move. But if you keep him, like if you're not running an extremely heavy amount of wide zone, I mean, if you're running any wide zone, then you might be kind of fucked. You might want to go to the other side. But Tyler Booker overall, I mean, if you just need someone to not allow someone through him, this is your guy. He is just the definition of consistency. The Buccaneers go Jahad Campbell at 19. That's the dream. Ended up having a shoulder surgery. Could end up leading him to slip a little bit. And the Buccaneers are the ones to be the benefactors of that equation. Broncos going to Martin Hampton is an amazing move, going to another UNC running back. But I would say he should not slip to 20. But that's why you have my board. That's how you know what I think. But I think Amari Hampton is the best running back in the class. If Ashton Jeanty didn't fumble as much, then maybe it would be different. But Amari Hampton's a super stud. I think that I dream for him to fall to the Steelers, but the Steelers end up going after Shamar Stewart. I don't think this is remotely close to what the Steelers would be looking for. I mean, the fact is you can kind of tell that this guy doesn't know ball because he only mentions Watt and Highsmith. I mean, the fact is, first off, look at their builds. None of them are remotely close to Shamar Stewart. You also end up looking, our backup edges do not have the build of Shamar Stewart. On top of that, we have some really good backup edge rushers, right? So I would say that that's not the pressing issue. The TJ Watt aspect where he might be asking for 40, that might be an issue. But it's not an issue that Shamar Stewart solves, right? So I do have some big concerns with that. I would not like this move personally. At number 22, the Chargers go Colston Loveland. Makes a lot of sense. I mean, just bring him back to his coach. It's a team that needs a tight end. It adds up. At number 23, Savone Ravel goes to the Packers. They need a boundary corner. I mean, especially with there's uncertainty around Jair Alexander, adds even more emphasis to it. I have concerns with Savone here, but that's primarily because all the tape that you really see is like 1 or 2 reps from, like, there's only 1 or 2 reps that you'll ever see online of his outside of week 1, 2023. And it really just feels almost Trey Lancey in the aspect that it's like, yeah, he's a really good athlete with good measurables, but you're pointing back to highlights from over a year ago. And it's like, yeah, like, I don't know if I really love that, but regardless, he is a very good talent. He's a very good athlete as well. Now, going on to 24, we have the Vikings going Jahdae Barron. And I mean, it's a perfect replication of Byron Murphy. It makes sense. I just have some concerns about the height of the corner core with Rodgers, Murphy, and Barron most likely being the starting 3. Yeah, I mean, do you want to really have to put in Jeff Okudah? Jeff Okudah is a really good signing for depth, but again, I really do have my concerns with corners that are all under 6 foot, essentially. So that's my only concern there. I mean, Jahdae Barron is a great player, somebody who I need to boost up a little bit more than I have, but he's a good player nonetheless. The Texans then go Kelvin Banks. Whether you do this or another offensive tackle does not matter. Kelvin Banks ended up showing with his arm length, with his height, that he is built to be a tackle. And honestly, even if he has to kick into guard, the Texans need it. So tackle feels like the surefire thing. The Rams then go Jackson Dart at 26. I don't really know if that's really the best move first off, you guys know what I think of Jackson Dart's overall ability. I ended up dropping a quarterback video yesterday. It's not performing well, but that's on me. I should have released it way earlier into the offseason. So, but if you guys do want to see the top 15, go and check it out. But I mean, the Los Angeles Rams are in a position where I personally don't think they should be going after a quarterback. But regardless, I do think that, going after a future guy makes sense, just not at 26, right? I don't think Stafford would have re-signed or restructured in order to stay for a team that's going to spend their number 1 pick on his replacement. I think he would have ended up going somewhere else and taking a higher payday. Ravens then go Mike Green out of Marshall at 27. Incredible athlete. I mean, off the field concerns, no doubt, but this feels like an Eric DeCosta move where he's saying, hey, this talent is, if no questions are there, probably top 15, but there are some questions there and he's developmental. So we're going to get him here at 27. Makes a lot of sense. At 28, the Lions go Malachi Starks. Intriguing to get a third safety into the mix. I don't agree with that, but sometimes you have to go best player available, and they end up going with it with Malachi Starks. At 29, you got the Commanders going Max Hairston, someone with an open sexual assault charge. Not going to say he's guilty, but I will say that you can do your own research. March 25th, 2021. It's on the Kentucky University crime log. Go do your own research. But for me, not a fan of players who have that type of track record. So I'm obviously not the PI here, but I will just let you know what I do know, and my own research ends up making me feel a little queasy on the situation. There's a lot of stuff out on it, but the Commanders going a boundary corner makes a lot of sense. I just wouldn't go with Hairston. At 30, the Bills go Emeka Egbuka. There's not really a reason to go Egbuka because he feels so close to Josh Palmer, but sometimes getting more firepower is not a bad thing. I would just go after defensive interior at that point. At 31, the Chiefs go Nick Ebenwari, which would be absolutely ludicrous. I mean, replacing Justin Reed. I mean, the ceiling is just too sky high right there. Yeah, I mean, the Bills should not have let Nick Ebenwari slip to him. I'd rather see Buka on the Chiefs than Ebenwari. And Ebenwari is going to be a super freak, man. Honestly, underrated pick right there. Eagles then go Gray Zabel at 32. I just don't see this. With the amount of offensive linemen they brought in for top 30s, it makes a lot of sense for them to go interior, but not in the first. They're going after a lot of guys who are third round, fourth round, even fifth. And so I would say that they're looking to address this position, but not at 32. Regardless, that's going to be the video. Thank you so much for watching, showing the love you always do. See you on the far side. Peace.